Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, April 7th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Dan Rubin in just a moment. I'm starting a couple minutes early because just got word from Ohio State's SID that our interview with Ryan Day might be starting a little early. They might have a shortened practice today. Buckeyes practicing as we speak, 12th practice of the spring. Then they'll practice again tomorrow. Then they'll practice on Thursday, and then we have the spring game on Saturday. Yes, it's a spring game. So I got to get over to Ohio State a little early. So I wanted to start the show a couple of minutes early, and it's good to see all you guys. So a lot of stuff to get into. So I know we've already talked. Dan and I talked about the quarterback competition might be a little closer than people expect last Monday. And then we saw the scrimmage on Saturday, and Lincoln definitely had a better day than Julian. But I'm going to get into that, though. I'm going to get into why, why you should be excited about Lincoln, and B, why maybe we shouldn't put too much stock into 1 hour of one practice. But I think the Buckeyes are in good hands at quarterback this year, one way or the other. And I think Tavian St. Clair looks good as well. All right, before we get into all that, before I bring in Dan, I want to let you guys know about Timeline again. Great product. I take 2 of these every day. Longevity supplement is what this is. Timeline's MitoPure supplements are the best supplements for healthy aging. I've been using them for about 4 weeks now, and I can already tell a difference. Can't you guys tell? Come on, don't lie to me. Why is taking Timeline's MitoPure supplements so important to me? Well, I feel stronger during my workouts, and I recover quicker after my workouts. I have more energy, period, for when I do podcasts and stuff like that. And I go to Ryan Day press conference. And when I want to support my cellular health. Speaking of which, cellular health is the foundation of well-being and longevity. These MitoPure tablets from Timeline recharge your cells and support any goals you have by making your systems work better. And here's the deal we can get you. Timeline is offering 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. That's timeline.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. There you go. Bam. All right. So here's the thing. We're all prisoners of the moment. We overreact to a little bit. When we say that Lincoln, and he did Lincoln, I wrote, a practice report for our site. I know there was we have the largest beat in American sports. So there was a lot of practice reports up there, and everybody was in agreement that Lincoln had the better day. But I think some people have taken that and ran with it and been like, oh, Lincoln's ahead. It's a small sample size. It's 1 hour of one practice. We didn't even get to see the entire practice. They didn't let the students in the media in until a little over an hour into practice. They practiced a little over 2 hours. So we saw really a little less than a half of a practice. Okay. We're talking about the media and the students, a student appreciation day on Saturday. Okay. So about an hour. So 1 hour of one practice. My buddy said, that on Columbus radio yesterday when I do my Sunday show on The Fan, he made a good analogy. It'd be like if someone came to your job. Let's say you work a 9-to-5 job. You work 8 hours a day, and somebody came and watched you for 15 minutes or 30 minutes and took a snapshot of that and based everything they thought of you on that. Maybe you had a bad 15 minutes or a bad half hour. So Julian, and I didn't think Julian looked terrible. But he definitely was a little indecisive, which he's supposed to be very quick decision maker. He was a little indecisive at times, late on some throws, and not accurate. Not always, but it wasn't as accurate as he usually is. And that's like his thing, is being accurate, being a quick decision maker. And Lincoln, he had, people talk about the throw he had to Brandon Ennis over the middle, which was a really good throw in a tight window, but definitely the best throw was the bomb he had to Carnell Tate. It was like 50 yards down the field, an absolute perfect throw, dropped it in the bucket. And the DB, whoever the DB was, it's hard to see because it's packed in there. Whoever the DB was really had good coverage. But so Carnell actually made a good catch, even though it was dropped perfectly. It was a perfect pass by Lincoln. So Lincoln had a good day. But I think we've got to be careful. I'm curious to get Dan Rubin's thoughts on this. I'm curious if this is like, oh, okay. It is a real competition. There's no doubt about it. Lincoln looks good, and maybe Julian's not quite where we thought he'd be. But again, very small sample size. So, Dan, welcome to the show, sir. Dan,
how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Started a little early. I was telling the peeps because of Ryan Day press conference is getting bumped up a little bit, so I want to get rolling a little early. So, yeah, man, Lincoln definitely looked good on Saturday. He looked better than Julian. Just period. But We're talking about 1 hour of one practice. So not even a whole practice. Very small sample size. So, it's one of those things. Is both things are true. Did Lincoln look better than Julian? Yes. Do I put a ton of stock in it? No. There were times last year during spring we'd walk away. Oh, Devin Brown looked better than Will Howard. How'd that turn out? So it's a very small sample size. I still think Julian's going to be the starter, but I also think this is a legitimate competition.
I would agree with everything you said there. I'm not even sure any of that's really even disputable. It's interesting because I feel less confident about Julian Sayin being the starter than I did about Will Howard. But I think I'm more confident about Lincoln Kienholz long-term than I am Devin Brown. Does that work?
Yeah, I feel the same way.
So the planets are meeting here a little bit. So it would lead to what you said, that it's going to be a competition. I would air quotes that just because I really do think it'll be Sayin. You have to fight against the urge to buy into anything you see in spring. It doesn't mean it's not true, but it doesn't mean it is true. So the nutters of the world will pick out the positives and focus on the positive flashes. And actually the nutters of the world will also highlight the negative, hence nut. But you really just need to fight that general belief that anything you see, keep in mind, you're not even watching a legitimate normal practice. It's limited. I say Kienholz is in it, but and it could be a true competition. He looks pretty good now. And I've always been pretty high on him. We've talked about that ad nauseum. I don't think he's your normal traditional backup. Chris Peterson in Washington, when they got his commitment, I don't think they had him pegged in as a long-term backup. And Washington's a legit program. So you're talking about a guy that was projected to be the starter at a big-time program. And maybe he could do it here. I'm not worried about him playing. My thing is more you really just got to stay cool when it comes to spring stuff. The only thing I want out of the spring, no injuries.
By the way, good morning, Mrs. Sanchez. And if you're wondering why I'm so spiffed up, it's because of the Bucknuts Morning 5. No, I had to do a video for 24/7 Sports just now. It'll be airing today at 3:15 Eastern on the Ultimate College Football Show. And they wanted me to do something on just one guy, Devin Sanchez. So there you go. You got about a minute and a half of me waxing poetic about young Devin Sanchez. You felt qualified to speak on him, of course. I feel like, after 20 plus years on this beat, I can talk about one guy. Yeah, I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can pull it off sometimes, Dan. This is my Still Basking t-shirt for those of you who are wondering.
The
Still Basking t-shirt. We need to make one that says Still Basking. National champs. Still basking.
Still ... and basking on the back, maybe. Something good.
So bad. So, Mrs. Sanchez, make sure you and your family watch the Ultimate College Football Show. And if you don't see it live, you can get on the YouTube. It's on YouTube at 3 o'clock today with rising star Emily Proud as the host of the show. And then they're going to have me on about 3:15. So there you go. All right. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Dave.
Yeah.
This is a positive video.
Yes, it's basically saying of these they're very impressive freshmen, he's the most impressive in my opinion. I think he'll play the most snaps of any of these freshmen. And I think at least 5 true freshmen are going to play on defense. None of them as starters unless there are, and I'll go through them, unless there are injuries. Okay, we'll start at corner. I mean, you have your outside corners are set in stone with IGB and Jermaine Matthews. Jermaine Matthews looked great at this scrimmage. He flew across the field and made a diving interception. I'm like, Jordan Hancock, boom. I'm like, wait, when am I going to realize that Jordan Hancock's not here and Jermaine is now wearing the number 7, not the number 24? That was my first reaction, was a great play by Hancock. No, great play by Matthews. He looks great. IGB looks great. And then you have Aaron Scott and Devin Sanchez as the backup corners already. They're running with the 2s. And Devin, as I was saying on the video, looks like he's an NFL corner right now, carries himself like that off the field too. Aaron's also a big corner. So I think Devin's going to play a lot, like similar to maybe what Jermaine Matthews did. You know, one of those guys, it's either going to be Aaron or Devin's going to play a lot. Because Tim Walton said, you know, especially with the long season, they want to make sure they basically have 3 starting corners, even if one's not technically a starter. So I think Devin Sanchez is definitely going to play. I'll stay on the secondary. I think Fahim Delane's going to be that 4th safety that he's going to round out the 2 deeps. Whoever loses the McLean-Hartford battle to be the starter opposite Downs, they'll be on the 2 deep. And I think Fahim Delane will be the other safety on the 2 deep. And I think Riley Pettijohn's going to be on the 2 deep. I wouldn't be surprised if TJ Alford is also on the 2 deep. At the very least, he'll play on special teams. He'll get in the game, I think, as a rotational piece at the end of games. I don't think those guys will play a lot because they love their top 3 linebackers, love them with Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, and Peyton Pierce. Peyton Pierce looked fantastic. It's easy to see why James Laurinaitis loves him. So then the other one would be Sayin Grady. So 5 guys I'm convinced, true freshmen. None of them are – you don't need any of them to start, but they have to provide depth because – that's what we've been talking about. With you're losing 8 starters on defense. The starters look good. Who's going to provide depth? Having these freshmen come in ready to roll has been so impressive. So Sayin Grady, Riley Pettijohn, TJ Alford, Devin Sanchez, and Fahim Delane are all going to play, and I think Sanchez is going to get the most snaps out of everybody.
You're one play from Sanchez being a starter in that model, and it's football. The one guarantee we have now is if we go over the 2 deep, that it will not look like that the last game of the season. It never has, and maybe never will.
They were lucky
Have
last
we ever
year.
been through this? Say again?
They were lucky last year, other than we thought that they were ravaged by injuries because of Simmons and McLaughlin. Really, other than losing a first-round tackle and the best center in college football, it's funny to say it out loud. But you look at it overall, they actually stayed pretty healthy at every other spot. Running back, both of the stud running backs stayed healthy. Wide receivers stayed healthy. The DB stayed healthy. Every year is like we were going through, like Marvin Harrison's hurt, or Emeka's hurt, or this guy's hurt. Jackson Smith and Jigba's hurt. Or this Lathan's out. Everybody stayed healthy except for McLaughlin and Simmons. It was awesome.
That is true, but if you're giving a point system to injuries, left tackle and center would be up there.
I know.
Those are dog injuries. We call dog years, so it's 1 to 7, 7 years for every one. That left tackle is a dog injury. So I'll give them credit.
It's going to be a first-round pick and center who's the best center in college football.
Yeah, the Richardson Award winner and the number 1 tackle according to basically every pundit worth a coin. So I would say that. But I hear you. I'm not saying you didn't say this, but the one freshman who I think I didn't really have a vibe on this going into it. The other freshman is on offense, so I think is going to get on the field definitely as a true freshman. And I don't think this is going out on a limb here, is Quincy Porter. Lost his black stripe, has the size. The idea next year of Chris Henry, Quincy Porter, and Jeremiah Smith on the field at the same time, you're much taller than me. How tall is Quincy Porter? 6'4"?
Yes, he's 6'4". He's 6'4".
How tall is Jeremiah Smith?
He's listed at 6'3". I think he's more like 6'4".
Chris Henry Jr. was 6'5", I think, as a freshman in high school. Who is going to cover those guys? Has anyone ever put out 3? I mean, you're going to have Jeremiah Smith a lot of time this year and next year, I think, in the slot and moving around just because they're just going to try and do everything NFL-ish for him. And if you look in the NFL, the number 1 receiver on every team gets moved around for the most part. It's really good to put them in the slot because they're very hard to cover, and you often draw the 3rd corner. Who's covering people in that? Who has a secondary that can match up with those guys? I mean, that's going to be amazing. And by the way, Brandon Ennis walks with a strut in number 1. There are certain guys that are walking that you wouldn't want to fight. I wouldn't want to fight anybody on the team, obviously. At this age, I no longer have the strength of 2 men, but they are impressive. And he's got a little something to him that I really love. But this year's receivers will be tremendous. We haven't even talked about Mylan Graham coming along. So
yeah, he looks good.
When you start talking about receivers, you can literally make a cogent point and leave 2 guys out that are going to be pros. So good to be king.
Yeah, the one guy that I didn't see out there, I don't think it's anything serious, but Mika's asking about defensive end Joshua Mickens. No, I didn't see him. I didn't see him out there, Mika. I believe he was one of the few guys sitting out. They didn't really want us talking about too much about injuries. Sonny didn't practice, but like,
come on,
he's fine. He was bouncing around. I heard one of his family members saying, "Sonny, don't jump up and down. You know, you could re-injure it." And he's like, "I'm fine." So if he probably has like a sore foot or something like that, Sonny's fine. Caleb Downs, some people said he didn't scrimmage. He actually was out there a little bit. Obviously, they don't need Caleb Downs out there too much in a scrimmage situation. But so really, Hartford and McLean are really just running with the ones mostly, other than the couple of plays where Downs was out there. And then I think it was Hartford was out there first. That's a good battle between Hartford and McLean. But whoever loses that battle is still going to play a lot. And then they're one play away from being a starter. But Fahim Delane's going to play, man. Like I was saying, him, Riley Pettijohn. I mean, I've talked about Devin already. Those guys, they're impressive physically, and they carry themselves like veterans. So damn impressive. All right, here we go. Where do I want to go next with this? So Matt Patricia so far. Looks like they're going to stick with the 4-2-5. I know he's going to mix it up, but like every time I've been out there, Dan, which has been a total of 3 practices that have been open, but every time we've been over there, we've talked to the players, though, a lot. We'll talk to Coach Day and the coordinators today. They all say they're doing the 4-2-5. They're mixing some stuff up a little bit. When we've been out there, it's all 4-2-5. So I'm not sure if that's just, Ryan Day has told him this is what we want to do. But Patricia's big on mixing things up as well. So I don't know, but that's been interesting to me. I thought we'd see a little bit more variety when we're out there, but it's basically just been the 4-2-5 and worked pretty well for Ohio State last year. #1 defense in the country, and they won a national championship.
It did go well. It went so well that when Texas had the ball there at the end and got it inside the 10, I'm like, oh, we are in good shape. They had the ball on the 1 yard line. I'm like, they're not getting in.
2nd and goal from the 1. Nope, not getting in.
But it was different that they didn't get in to when, like, you knew they weren't getting in. You get that vibe. So that comes from confidence and seeing it done over and over. Yeah, the defense is interesting. I put the spring what defenses we see right next to the what quarterback performs well in terms of taking it and running with it. I'm sure Patricia, with his New England Patriots background, understands the importance of not showing stuff to people in practice, even if they're hiding in the stands with a camera. But was he there for that? I don't remember.
Who?
Patricia.
For what?
The Patriots used to film people's practices ahead of time and like.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I was responding to somebody on.
Yeah, I don't think he was there for that.
But. I was typing to something in the live chat that hey, we're probably not gonna. That's not something we're gonna get into on the show. Not Matt Patricia. Something that somebody was asking. No, I don't think. Well, he was there for so long. He probably was on the staff, but he might have been.
He's certainly knowledgeable about the situation and knowing the need to have clandestine practice approaches.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm just like we've talked about this, and he's probably going to. He's fit into the Chip Kelly content stream from last year. It's very similar in a lot of ways. Hopes are equally high. And like we said, Nick Saban, if you're going to glean any approaches from anyone, it's Nick Saban. We already, like I said, and people don't want to hear me say this, he deserves a ring. I don't know if he can wear it in public, but if something he can put on his mantle maybe and not take in public for the Caleb Downs, Julian Sayin, tangentially Seth McLaughlin, and the idea of having guys who kind of need to rehab their image and their skills for the pro game, or maybe they decide to be big-time college coaches a la Sarkisian. But the idea of having guys kind of come in there for a short period of time to rehab their image certainly worked well. And Alabama was the platform for it. Maybe Ohio State is now that platform for it, which is widely regarded as the best program. So certainly a positive development. Speculating on how long Patricia will be here will be like speculating on Chip. That has more to do with the musical chairs, I think, that go on elsewhere and kind of trickle down to here. But it'll be good enough, I think. I'm very impressed. I don't think anyone's ever questioned dude's mind or head for the game. He just looked like he was kind of a hobo for a while. I'm serious. I'm not even saying that to be funny.
I think he leaned into that. I think he yeah, he's like, I'm going to look like the homeless guy on the sideline that's like the mad scientist. And that's exactly what he looked like.
Who his boss was. Yeah.
He is a mad scientist. I mean, I know we overuse that term. We even said that about Knowles. But, yeah, I mean, Patricia's got the Bible that he keeps adding to. He calls it the Bible.
He's got a book now.
He's a smart guy. Like, I really – and, like, so far he's been, like, jovial, too. It's not like he's smart, but he's, like, a curmudgeon, like we heard, like, and like you talk about a lot, like when a man loses that much weight, like he's going through a lifestyle change. Correct. That's not like, oh, I want to drop a few pounds and look good at the beach or not look bad at the beach. Like he went through a life, and maybe he went through a personality change too. People can change, and we hear it all the time in sports. When a guy takes a year off, it rejuvenates him. So he took a year off, maybe it rejuvenated him. All right, I tell you what, maybe he's been wearing some Gooder sunglasses, right? Because his future's so bright, he's got to wear shades. And if you guys are not familiar with Gooder sunglasses, I know I've talked a lot about them on the show, but if you're not familiar, here's some things I want you guys to know. Okay. They're stylish. You want stylish, obviously. They start at just $25 a pair. You get a 1-year warranty and you get 30-day free returns. They're lightweight and comfortable. They're 100% polarized. They fit great. No slip, no bounce. You're not going to break them. I mean, seriously, I could sit on them and not break them. Maybe that's a stretch. I drop them. They don't break. They don't crack. They're made great. And they have tons of cool styles to choose from. I personally love the Operation Blackouts. Ladies out there, try the Amelia Earhart Ghosted Me. Those are some cool ones as well. But guys, I like the Operation Blackouts. Amelia Earhart Ghosted Me, kind of a cool name. Their names are funny and innovative. All right, excuse me. I'm getting all choked up talking about Gooder sunglasses here. If you need a new pair of sunnies, Gooder is giving Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's gooder.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for free shipping. There you go.
Of course, your Gooders are $25. So I sent my son to spring break with 2 pairs. First pair, Atlantic Ocean. Second pair, moved up to varsity, did just fine. No call to dad about losing $250 sunglasses. So all is well. Gooder, let's do it.
I'm not going to name the store, but went into, I don't know, it was like 2 years ago. I'm like, I'm finally going to get one of these really expensive pairs of sunglasses. I went into one in mall, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not spending that much. There's no way. Not that I couldn't if I wanted. No, I'm kidding. There's no way I'm spending that much for sunglasses because I would lose them probably on the way home and then kill myself because I'd be so upset. All right. I love what he's done with the staff overall. Patricia's obviously number one. Couldn't be more impressed with Tyler Bowen. And he's brought in, they brought in the guy that was Oklahoma State's offensive line coach the last few years. He's just an analyst, helping with the O-line. They got Coach Johnson, who played at Penn State, played in the NFL. He's helping with the offensive line too. So he's loaded up the analysts. So it's like what you're saying, he's just taking a page out of Saban's book with everything, with the reclamation projects at offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, not the Heartline's a reclamation project, but Chip last year, Patricia this year. That's right out of the Saban playbook. What else did Saban do? He just loaded up on analysts, right? And Day initially, and he talked about this, he was a too many cooks in the kitchen guy. And he's still very, 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 very like in tune with culture's important. These guys have to fit in. But he's like tripled the amount of guys, at least doubled the amount of guys on his support staff. I love that, Dan. I love that. Yeah,
but there was a rule change that allowed them to do that. So from a macro sense, this is them taking advantage of, like they've taken advantage of NIL. I don't mean taking advantage in a bad way. I'm saying used it to their benefit. If something is brought up in college football that can help you win a national championship, Ohio State needs to be the best at it. You need no further evidence of this than today's story on Darius Gray, the number 1 inside offensive lineman in the country, was asked what he loves about Ohio State and his visit. All eyes on everybody. 4 sets of eyes, he said. He literally said that. The addition of the analysts. He's like, they can tell you. He's like, everyone gets coached. So the guy, look, you're coming to Ohio State. You got to show these guys who are already great that you're going to get them better, that you're going to get them NFL good. Having 4 veterans in there to help do that is better than having one, especially now that the rules have changed and it's not, like you said, too many cooks in the kitchen and trying to wedge guys into hourly breakups and stuff with the NCAA used to enforce like 20 hours of practice here. So the number of analysts has basically, the cap was taken off and they've taken advantage of it. So like I said, go read the story on Darius Gray today. That's all you need to see to know that you're not the only one who likes it, Dave. The big-time recruits like it, and when Dave and the big-time recruits like something, that's good. Especially
the latter. The former, don't put too much stock on that. But
double whammy.
When the recruits like it, there you go. That's what really matters. Yeah, man, I just like the way this offensive line's coming together. Could use a little more depth at tackle, but what they're doing is they're repping Saraveld, tackle, left and right tackle, because they know he can play guard. In fact, he's one of the Iron Buckeyes. They thought, and I agree with this, they thought he played great in the playoffs as a redshirt freshman, Saraveld, and he wasn't even technically a starter for the national championship game, and a couple of other games he might or might not have started, but he was the one playing left guard and right guard. Like Tegra just played right guard, Luke just played left guard. When Austin would come in, he'd play one of the two and let the other guy get a break. The other guy would come in and move to the other side. So they love Saraveld. He is a big, strong, tough guy, 6'5", 320. Iron Buckeye. They don't do that lightly. So he's now coming off that playoff, has had a really good offseason. So he's going to start somewhere. And I think Phillip Daniels will be the starting right tackle, but don't etch that in stone because Saraveld could be that right tackle. Ian Moore could be that right tackle. Saraveld's definitely going to start. But they love the interior. So they have Luke Montgomery back at left guard, Hinsman back at center, obviously Tegra at right guard. And they could just go with the 3-man rotation again, or they could put Saraveld at right tackle. You got Daniels there as well. And I said Ian Moore. Oniana looks good at left tackle. Saraveld's repping there too, just in case. I think I'll be shocked if Ethan Oniana was not the left tackle, obviously. I guess, again, the depth at tackle could be a little bit better, but I love the depth overall. Josh Padilla at center is a guy they like. And, if something happened, they could move Hinsman to guard and have Padilla at center, but they like Hinsman at center, obviously. They got about 8 or 9 deep on that offensive line. I love it.
Last season, trial by fire, in the new playoff extended games system. You're essentially playing an NFL regular season, 16 games. And we know what the toll that takes, especially if you play 16, your last 4, as we've shown, are going to be against the best of the best. So we go back to games counting for more than one. Those are dog games. And they made it. I don't think they will enter this. Look, Zen Mikulski was the backup left tackle last year, according to the depth chart. I don't think he was ever really the backup left tackle long term. But look, he went in there. They went to him.
Started the game. He was the back because he
went to him.
He went in
had to really
against Oregon, and then he started the next game, but he got hurt that game. Yeah.
So they've learned they need depth. Keep in mind also, they won the national championship. Other people would be copycatting them. Now they're the standard. So they learned depth on the offensive line is key. One thing I think we've learned in the transfer portal era is it's highlighted how few elite or high quality offensive linemen are out there. Go by their NIL packages. These guys got paid. Right. There's only so many guys that big who can get it done. I mean, if they're able to go into the portal again, if they're able to pull the trick with Ethan Oniana that they did with Josh Simmons and take him from a San Diego State right tackle to a guy who is going to be picked in the first round and would have been picked higher had he not got injured. If they take the left tackle from Rice and turn him into a first round guy, I imagine it'll be easier to go back into the portal again next year and find a left tackle when you've done it twice in 2 rotations. So we will see what goes on. Depth. I actually saw one NFL preview list Donovan Jackson at tackle. And if you ever thought that was going to happen, that lets you know how bad you need your depth to be good. I also got a kick out of the fact that 2 of the guys that have played left tackle here and done well, Donovan Jackson and Taylor Decker, literally were handed in their first ever start the most difficult possible matchup in college football. Taylor Decker got a little-known guy named Khalil Mack, who to this day put on the best performance I've ever seen from a defensive player against Ohio State. And Donovan's like, hey, your first start. How about Abdul Carter at Penn State? Is that hard? And he held through.
I was gonna say poor Taylor Decker. He didn't hold up, but that was his first start because he was Taylor. Yeah, Taylor was a sophomore that year,
and he was the only new starter. He was at right tackle.
Yeah, Donovan, I'm sure he graded out better and higher in future games, but he actually held his own against Carter. And that was his first time playing left tackle. It's going to be the funniest thing in the world to me if he ends up being like a 10-year left tackle in the NFL, and it never, ever, ever would have happened if not like basically by accident at Ohio State. He's got the arms for it, man. He's got those 33.5-inch arms. Like they say they want their tackles to have at least 33-inch arms. He's got 33.5-inch arms. So, and he's 6'4". It's not like he's 6'2". He's 6'4" with long arms. I know it's not ideal height, but like it's really more about your wingspan and your arm length and all that. He's got that. So, and he's shown.
It's so common now, Dave, though, to kick the tackles inside. That used to be a thing you did occasionally. Now it's like when guys get drafted, it is just a known thing. You are sliding inside in a lot of cases. I don't necessarily mind it. It works. I speak to this only because, and this is my Cowboys fandom. Zach Martin was the left tackle at Notre Dame, came in at right guard, and is going to the Hall of Fame for the Cowboys. So sometimes it works. Him or Johnny Manziel, it came down to two. You know why?
I gotta get the show up so I can get over to Ohio State. So like,
right on.
I'm curious who the top backup D tackle is going to be, and I think it's going to be Will Smith Jr. They've got some guys in the mix. They've got Tyrone Malone's in the mix to be that top backup. Caden McDonald and Edric Houston are the starters. I think you guys know that, but just in case, K-Mac and Edric are the starters. I think Will Smith Jr., now entering his third year, is going to be the top backup. I think he was the first one to rotate in there during the scrimmage on Saturday. Jason Moore's in the mix. Tywone Malone's in the mix. Eric Mensa is in the mix. There's have a couple of true freshmen that are getting some, decent run that probably are not going to be in the mix as true freshmen. I think that, but Jarquez Carter and Trajan Odom, they both look decent to me. But I think those four guys are going to battle to be that top backup D tackle, and I think it's going to be Will Smith Jr.
I wonder, Dave, as I get further and further away from the season, get a chance, as I told you, I'm a draft nerd, and getting to hear a lot of more people talk about our players who are not from Ohio State, who have no reason to pander or not pander up north to our players. One thing is consistent, and that Tyleik Williams is mentioned as arguably the best one-tech run stuffer in the draft. That's going to be hard to replace. Caden McDonald and Edric Houston both have a lot of potential, but I'm not sure either one has shown they can be that type of a run stuffer, though Caden did make a huge play down by the goal line against Texas, like I said. Still, that's one thing that I some 3 or 4 years in the trenches, you know what I'm saying? A little bit more old man strength in there, because if you can't stop throwing up the middle, that's a challenge. And no starting experience there makes me a little oogie. So I would think the third guy, when I look at the picture of him, I hope it's Tywone Malone, because he looks to me like he's the biggest. But I think that's up for grabs. The defensive line is going to be an adventure, man. I'm not saying negative, but we have no idea what these guys are going to look like as starters.
Jason Moore's a big boy too, man.
I love Jason Moore. I don't understand why I haven't heard his name more. It concerns me. Jason Moore was All-Met Player of the Year, and Tyleik Williams was honorable mention in the same year. So, or maybe may have been a couple years after that. But
yeah, because Tyleik
both DC boys.
They're 2 years apart.
I'll just say this, and that may be incorrect. Jason Moore was a much more highly coveted high school prospect. Time for him to kind of come through here. Tyleik was Tyleik did not go to a high school known for football. He kind of was just a self-made man. So I would not be upset if Tyleik goes number 44 in the draft. You guys can look that one up.
Yeah, or maybe go, I'll have to look this up, like 47th.
No, See, 44 comes before 47, Dave. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I know, but I'm trying. If the Cowboys do like something dumb, not that they would ever do that.
No,
Maybe,
they're not the best drafting
not that
team
the
over the
Bengals
last
ever
10
would.
years. No.
Wherever he falls, yeah, I think that would be a steal in the second round, especially mid-second round. And how about Larry Johnson? Imagine him going to the DMV to find a diamond in the rough like Tyreek Williams.
He doesn't know his way around there at all.
Kind of knows his way around that area. He knows it even better than you, I think, which is saying a lot. All right.
Let me tell you something. Larry Johnson got the first ever recruit to make it. Derek, what was his name? Derek Williams, the wide receiver, was the first one in the DC area to do like the hat thing on video and everything like that. Penn State.
There you go. All right. Great stuff, Dan. Hey, and programming note, Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, Matt Patricia today, starting about 10:45 at the WAC. So probably starting about 11. But they're saying 10:45. They're bumping it up. And then don't forget, watch 24/7 Sports Ultimate College Football Show. It'll be live today on YouTube, 3 o'clock Eastern. I'll be on it around 3:15 talking about young Mr. Devin Sanchez. And if you can't catch that show live, it'll just be on YouTube, and you can just catch the replay anytime you want on YouTube. Great stuff from Dan. Thanks to all of you. We appreciate it very much, and I'm glad you guys are still basking. That's right, still basking. All right, hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.